Happy Monday, everybody, and happy Labor Day here in the United States of America. Let's wrap up summer with a great trip report. We're headed out to Southern California today with listener Amanda to talk about her first trip to Walt Disney World and her first sailing with the Disney Cruise. We're going to talk about her stay at both Pop Century and Coronado Springs resorts, both pre and post cruise, and her sailing on the Disney Wish with her family, her husband, and her two sons, and also her parents sailed right along with them. They had a couple of staterooms on the Wish, so we talk about her experience on Castaway Cay, their experience when they went to Nassau and stayed on the ship and made the most of their time on the ship while some folks got off, their initial thoughts of their stateroom, what experiences they liked on the Wish, and of course, times in the theme parks at Walt Disney World, what they enjoyed about Pop Century, Coronado Springs, great dining at Disney Springs. We have all kinds of Disney talk, fun show for you today. So sit back, have some barbecue here on Labor Day, and enjoy today's podcast. Don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your Disney adventure that is coming up here in the rest of 2024 or into 2025. And the best part, no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click supports everything we do throughout the year. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. You keep us on the air, so thank you so much for that. You can support us as well, just $5 a month, and you'll get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Coming over this week, we'd love to have you. We need your support. It's patreon.com/beourguestpodcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2548 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from beourguestpodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you and happy Labor Day here in the United States of America. Hope you're having a nice day off for all that labor that you have put in over the past year. Unless you're an independent contractor, which means I will still be celebrating Labor Day by laboring away. But that's okay, because Labor Day just means I get to labor while I hopefully have some food on the grill, maybe a nice hamburger, hot dog off the grill, and of course, potato salad. Got to have that on Labor Day for the last hurrah of summer. But wherever you are, hope you're having a great day, great start to your week. And if you're down under, we got a lot of folks in the Southern Hemisphere that tune into the show. Hope the beginning of winter is going well, because I know a lot of folks down there are Aiden and Melissa, Mel, tell me about your weather down there all the time. It's been hotter than smoke here where we're from, but I know that you are moving into the cool weather. And by the way, go Sydney Swans, my team down in Australia. Go win that championship this week. All right, today we are talking Disney, and you're going to get a little Disney Cruise Line today. And we're going to talk about two of my favorite Walt Disney World resorts. We're headed out to Southern California, right near Disneyland, with listener Amanda. Amanda, how's it going today? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I am glad to have you on the show. So any big plans for the Labor Day holiday out in California?
Not really. We've got a quiet weekend. My mom's birthday is on Tuesday, so we're going over there to surprise her with barbecue on Sunday. But other than that, it'll be a quiet weekend for us.
Nothing wrong with that. Got a lot.
Yeah.
Those are the best kind of weekends, to be honest.
We don't get many of those around here, so I'll take it.
Seriously. So
yeah,
you said you told us in the pre-show you're about 30 miles from Disneyland.
Yeah.
So does that afford you the opportunity to get to go over to visit often?
We used to have Magic Key. Well, back in the days of annual passes, I was an annual pass holder for 12, 13 years. And then while I was pregnant with my oldest, we let them go. But I've had friends who are cast members forever. So I've been able to go, thankfully, for free a lot. And then we had Magic Keys for a couple years leading up to this trip and let them go. So I haven't been in a while, actually.
So let me ask, we were talking in the pre-show though, how much I love Disneyland, but hadn't discovered it until my first trip in July of 22. We went out for the 4th of July with Scott's family, and I always just kind of poo-pooed it in the back of my mind saying it's too small. There's no transportation system. It's not detached like Walt Disney World. You know, you're going to see the real world right there on Harbor Boulevard. I fell in love with it immediately. You know, the nostalgia of it, the ease of the whole vacation experience. I love everything about Disneyland, and I hanker to get there all the time. I can't wait to get back there for the races in January. What are some of your favorite things as far as Disneyland? Because you are a local, and they always say it is a locals park. What's your perspective on what makes Disneyland special?
I love that for us, the easy access to going after work or after school for just a couple of hours. It's nice to have passes. And when you have passes and just go for a quick couple hours to get your fix. You actually talked about Cars Land, loving Cars Land in the listener questions show that I listened to today, and how it's like walking into the movie. And I remember when that was, it was just the model of it at D23. I got to go to D23 the year that they had the model of that land. And I was so excited for it to come. And then when it finally was done and walking in, it's exactly how I felt. So I love that I can walk and I can go see the cars, and I can take my kids and have those experiences pretty easily because we're so close.
Oh man, that's exactly, so jealous because
Yeah.
to have something that special just within driving distance. I mean, you're right there within striking, like a local, like drop it after work. It just doesn't seem right. Like I got to fly, 4 hours and, cross the Rockies halfway. But it's, to me, that's worth it. But it also makes it special, right? Because I don't get to go as often. So when I'm there, it's like, yay. But I mean, I would trade you. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. But I mean, our gas is cheaper in Missouri, but that's the only good thing.
That's fair.
Whatever. So so real quick, what, if you could, as a local, because I got my favorite place I love to eat at Disneyland, Disneyland or DCA. My favorite's Rancho del Zocalo. I love that place. I could eat there 7 days a week. What about you? Where's your favorite place to dine?
The corn dog cart. Corn dog cart.
Little Red Wagon?
All day. Yep. Little Red Wagon. Yep.
Why is it that everybody's so crazy about getting them there and not like the stage door? I mean, because are they not probably from the same place?
I'm pretty sure they're the same, but I think it's the line down the gate towards the chicken restaurant, the Plaza Inn. But yeah, it's the corn dogs.
All right, let's switch it up here a little bit because I love talking about, where you're from and getting a little background on you here before we get into the trip report. We had the stock watch a couple weeks ago, stocks up, stocks down with Disney, and I thought we'd play a little mini stock watch today. And I was thinking we could each give one stock up for Disney, one stock down today, then get into the trip report. And I was thinking today, I have a stock up for Disney real quick. And I was thinking, as I was looking around my office, one thing Disney's doing really well right now, stock up, popcorn buckets. Disney has been killing popcorn buckets lately. Like I was just walking around my office this morning. I looked around and there's popcorn buckets all over my shelf. I got Mr. Toad back here. I got this one. I got it at Disneyland right in front of the Haunted Mansion when I was out there for the 100-year celebration or something. It's purple. It looks like a balloon. Then I have this. I got this one actually on my cruise this summer. It's the Toy Story Toyota truck. That was actually on the Disney Fantasy. And they got the sippers, which are like the sidekick of the basically a popcorn bucket for water. I got I got the Sam Eagle. I got, I got the orange birds floating around here. I mean, they're so cool. Like they're kind of retro. You don't really need them to carry popcorn. They're not made for popcorn. They're just, they're cool. Like you just got to bring them home. I have Figment. He's up on top of the shelf there. He's wearing some solar glasses from the eclipse. He's still safe. I think they do a good job with the popcorn buckets, and they're reasonably priced. They're not extravagant. They're like $20. They're kind of a pain in the rear to bring home on the flight. Like I usually just sit them right there on the tray. I carry them on just right there on the flight tray. But stock up popcorn buckets for Disney. So I'm going to go with something trivial but fun. So let me ask you, do you have a stock up for Disney? What's Disney doing well?
So I was going to say the same exact thing, actually, is the popcorn buckets. But it's not just the fancy ones.
Okay.
It's also just the regular popcorn buckets that you get because with the lid that you actually eat popcorn out of. Because they're great at home for popcorn. Like
Yes.
for my kids, we eat popcorn like crazy around here. We did movies in the park. I took my Disney popcorn buckets full of popcorn because they travel well. So that's really funny. That was the same thing that I was going to say. It's
Look at
popcorn
that.
buckets.
We're in sync already. This is going to be a great trip report in a second because we're already in sync. All right. Quick stock down I have. Stock down. Disney with all these after hours events for 1 year. And I know people love their after hours events, especially who's commenting right now, dude. He's a big after hours guy. Scott Gardner in our chat, Facebook, one of the team members here on the show. I understand people like their after hours events, but I wish for like a year Disney would scale back these after hours events that are kind of costly, and let's go back to the model of 3 extra hours for everybody for on-site guests. If the park closes at 9, if you're an on-site guest, you get to stay till 12. Pick one park and it just switches every night, just like the old days. Let's go back to like the mid 2000s and it rotates to a different park every night. And even if you don't go to that park that night for extra magic hours, what it does is it allows you to go to that park the next morning because you say, all the crazy people stayed up late last night. They're for sure not going to go to that park the next morning too. They got their fill last night. So then you can have a strategy as to what parks you go to the next day. That's what we used to do a lot of times. If we didn't close the park down until 3 a.m. But I like the fact that the extra magic hours in the evening would be, because they made it 2 hours after a while, but I like those 3-hour ones they used to have. Forget the after hours. Don't try to go for the cha-ching, the extra money there. Just make them 3x. Just like over to the old days, let the on-site guests, everybody value moderate deluxe, everybody have it, and do it for a year is a goodwill gesture. It'll never happen, but stock down on all the after hours because I'm a cheapie. All right, do you have one thing you say Disney may be trending in the wrong direction?
Mine is and it's specific to Disneyland, but the price of the Magic Key passes. And the availability on those Magic Key passes.
It's difficult, right? It is.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
So
they priced us out, unfortunately. So,
I mean, honestly, they do use pricing for crowd control. I mean,
yeah. Oh, 100%.
It is the truth. Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a little mini stock watch there to kind of switch things up here on a Monday because, after 2,500 shows, you got to try to do things different. So,
right.
Hope you enjoyed that. All right, so if you have hate, just my email is scott@brguestpodcast.com. Shoot me an email. All right, so let's go with your trip report. So today we're talking about a land sea trip. So tell us about when you guys took this trip, who was the crew that sailed with you and went to Walt Disney World, and when did it happen?
Yeah, so we went in middle to the end of June. We were celebrating my husband's graduation with his MBA, so 3 very long years for us of MBA. My husband, who works full-time on top of going to school. And it was myself, my husband, Charlie, our 2 boys, Steven, who is 7, he'll be 8 next month, William, who was 3 at the time of our trip, and then my parents.
Very cool. So getting that MBA, well-deserved vacation, sounds like.
Yes, very much so. For all of us.
Exactly. You're just like, I'm glad that's over because it was a team effort, I'm sure.
100%.
I remember the days when I got my master's of education too, while I was also teaching. I'm like, oh, what am I doing?
There were a lot of those moments.
Like, dude, I got a full-time job. Like, why am I doing this on top of, trying to run 30 kids' lives and ruin mine at the same time? Like,
right.
What am I doing? And now I'm doing nothing with either degree that I have.
Either degree.
What am I doing? Exactly. I'm sitting here in a Mizzou jersey talking into a microphone. What am I doing? Anyway, it's kind of making me sad. All right. So you guys went down and so tell us about the travel though, coming all the way from California, especially with kids in tow.
So traveling wasn't too bad. My kids are pretty well traveled to this point and they do great on airplanes. I just always pack snacks. I always have too many snacks and too many activities for them to do because I never know what they're going to want to do versus what they won't want to do or what they might not be eating on that particular day. Excuse me. And so we had a direct flight, which is we actually extended our trip by a day. We were supposed to get in on June 19th and we got in on the 18th in the evening because our original flight was canceled. So we were able to get an afternoon flight on the 18th and get in later into Florida on the 18th, which gave us a full first day, which was great. But I mean, logistically, it was fine. My husband used to fly in and out of LAX all the time, and so for him, that's pretty easy he knows where to park and where to go, and he's the cruise director when it comes to flying.
Is somebody from St. Louis, when I go into LAX, I'm just like, holy Lord, this place is huge. But I just like keep following the signs to find my luggage. And then I try to find, and you got to walk all the way to that extra lot to get an Uber. I'm like, first time I was like, where am I going? Like, I'm going to get kidnapped or something. But then I found the Uber lot, which is way across the street. But then you get in your Uber and they take you right to Disneyland. It's all good. I just pretend like it's Magical Express. Back in the days. Anyway, so you guys, you stayed at Pop Century pre-cruise. Love that. That's one of my favorite places. You picked my two favorite resorts, Pop Century and Coronado Springs, pre and post.
We might have had your help with that a little bit.
Hey, I'm not an influencer, but I'm gonna tell my daughter.
I'm not mad about it either.
I'm telling my 16-year-old I am though. I'm not, but I'm telling her, hey, look, there's a little influence here. No, just kidding. But yeah, you guys had pub subs. Look out.
We sure did.
That's 3 for 3. We're winning. Okay, so let's talk about the pre-cruise, because there's nothing like knowing. If you've never been on a Disney cruise, when you go down, then this is exactly the way I say you should do this. You should go to Walt if you can swing it. And like we couldn't do this summer, for example, because it hurt me, but it was either this or not go at all. And it's because we had a 7-night cruise too. Like we just had to go down, and we went to Old Key West the day before our cruise, because you really do want to be there the day before your cruise at least, because you do not want to fly on the day of your cruise. Do not do that. So we went to Old Key West the day before, swam all day at Old Key West. We had dinner at Olivia's. It was awesome. Woke up, over to the port, went on our cruise. But we couldn't do anything after because Mallory had cheer and commitments with camp and stuff like that. So we didn't get to do a post-cruise Walt Disney World kind of thing. Jealous. But if you can, bookend it both ways with a stay at Walt Disney World. It makes getting off the ship much easier. So you guys did that. So talk to us about pre-cruise and that feeling. We know we're going on a cruise, but we get to have a little Disney fix at the beginning too, building up to that. So how was that?
It was great. Even though on our next one, we won't be doing this, I really don't want to do it any other way, because it was nice to kind of ease our way into the time change. For us, it's 3 hours.
True.
And our kids into the time change, which helped once we were on the ship. They were able to stay up a little bit later than if we hadn't done that. But it was exciting to arrive, especially at Pop, because it is so themed. And, in the room, there's the Mickeys on the wall. And when you pull down the bed, it's Pluto sleeping on the pull down table bed. And it just got us really ready to do all things Disney for a few days.
I'd imagine, I say because the kids are at the perfect age for Pop Century, but then who am I kidding? Like, I'm excited. I'll probably stay there for Marathon Weekend. I love it because, again, I always say this on the show, there's an energy to a Pop Century that's even different. It's a different vibe than Coronado. Coronado it's a light deluxe. It's got a more of kind of an upscale feel. It doesn't necessarily have like the Disney kind of animation or the Disney character feel to it. It takes you to a different time and place kind of feel to it. But Pop Century has that. It's exactly what it is. It's got like this pop culture. Like it's, if you're in the 50s, you got this, like, you feel like you need to have on a poodle skirt, or, you're going to the, a sock hop or something. You're in the 70s, you feel like you need to have like a afro, or, you need to platform shoes, or you need to be like, hey,
right.
I just love the place. And there's all that tied to Disney throughout, not to mention the Skyliner, which makes getting around piece of cake, and the great foods options in the food court. And I bet the kids just ate it up. It's just great.
They absolutely loved it. And they dance in the lobby.
Yes.
The cast members dance in the lobby. Yeah, they do the hustle.
Yeah, exactly. It's my jam.
Yeah.
Okay, real quick, because I want to talk about the parks and stuff. And pub subs, were they worth the trip?
They were so good.
Yeah.
I wanted one. It was a chicken one. When we got there, they didn't have the chicken, so we got. I don't remember which one. I got the chicken though on our way out. So I did get the chicken, and it was delicious. But yeah, they were good. I would say they're worth the hype.
I had to look for that button, but it was a little bit late. But that's so sad. There was the, I hope it wasn't was it the chicken tender? That's the best one. Oh,
yeah.
My heart. Oh, the chicken tender pub sub. This is so good.
Pub sub. Yeah.
Yes. I would pay $20 for one right now. I mean, this is so good.
You need drone lifts over to your house.
We just need a pub. We need Publix up here, man. We have Schnucks and Deerbergs, which I like, but man, those things, they're so big. They're gigantic. So you also had cupcakes delivered to the resort to celebrate your husband's achievement. Was that logistically hard to do, or how'd that work?
No, I found someone. She's on Facebook. She's in the Florida area, and she delivers to the hotels. And it worked out perfectly. I went to the front desk. I ordered them months and months and months in advance, and she confirmed with me, I think the week before. And when we went to the front desk to pick them up, they were there in the refrigerator waiting for us. And then we took them back to our room and enjoyed some late night sugar. What's better than starting vacation than with cupcakes?
But you can do that because the next morning you guys got up, you and your husband ran.
Yes.
Around, you didn't just run just for no reason. You ran around Hourglass Lake. You're runners. Yeah. You wouldn't just get up and like run from your kids. Like, I'm just running out of here. You guys are runners. You ran around, which is one of the, I just say this all the time, one of the best places to run at Walt Disney World is around Hourglass Lake. I hope you did it early in the morning, even though you said the humidity wiped you out.
Yeah, no, we did it early because my son and I had early reservations to decorate cakes at Amorette's, but we got up early and did our run. I think we did two loops, but we did like one full circle, and then we did the 8 through. But it's just so peaceful, and we got to watch the Skyliner start up while they were testing the line, and then watching all the people lining up for the Skyliner to head to the parks for the day, and all the eating while they're walking and stressed faces, knowing that we didn't have to do that till the next day. So that was fun. But reading the signs too took your mind off of what you were doing while you're running around Hourglass Lake.
All right, I'm gonna see if you paid attention. What year and how tall? What year was the Gateway Arch completed, and how tall is the Gateway Arch in St. Louis?
I don't remember.
It's one of the signs around Hourglass Lake. 1966, and it's 630 feet tall, just so you know. It's a St. Louis thing. See, I'm excited because that's like our thing, right? It's a sign at Hourglass Lake. You see the sign about the first marathon. I know all the signs. Yep. I've run around Hourglass Lake so many dang times. I could recite them by heart. Like what Lucille Ball, then there's the hula hoop. Stupid. I've run around that so many times. I'm just going to hit some of the highlights here because I want to make sure we get as much in as we can. The Amorette's thing, we never talk about that. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Was that fun?
100% would recommend. It is not an inexpensive experience by any means. I think it was $200 for up to 2 people. And I think you make either Minnie Mouse or Mickey Mouse. We made Minnie Mouse. But my son's my little baking buddy. I love to bake. He loves to bake with me. And so it was a really cool treat for him. Also, he did really, really good last year in first grade. He read with everything, but he hit all of his reading goals, which were very high. He was able to do multiplication and division by the end of the school year, which was amazing. So that was my treat to him. It's an early experience. And it was logistically a little difficult to get to because there's no buses that run that early to not downtown Disney Springs. So luckily we had a car. We could have done an Uber, but we had a minivan that we had rented anyway. So my husband just dropped us off. But it was great. The beverages are included, alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So I was able to have mimosa while we decorated this cake.
It's like that painting with a twist, but with sugar.
Yeah, but with sugar. And it's a full-size cake. We ended up throwing some of it away because we couldn't finish it. It was a full-size cake, and they take you from step 1 to, just a plain cake, and they explain a lot of, how they make the glaze and the frosting and all the pieces, and then you get to decorate the cake, and pour the glaze and frost it and put all the stuff on it, the ears and all that, and they put it in the case for you to take a picture of it in their case.
And I'm sure it tasted great too, right?
It was delicious. It was absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
We went back after the cruise to get a treat because the cake was so good.
So at this point, you've had cupcakes. Now you have a full.
Yep.
On, you have two. So I guess you had two full on cakes, right? I mean, did you have two?
Just one. So
Just
it's one
Okay.
cake and then 2 people per. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're
Yeah.
accumulating snacks at like a rapid pace. Like you've been there like 24 hours and you got like just sweets like piling up and you're going on a cruise. Like it's
Yeah.
just going to get worse and worse. Well, so just make sure. So you guys went to Polite Pig for lunch. Oh, great
Yes.
place. I mean, was that good for everybody?
Yeah, it was great. Everybody had something to choose from. I had the BLT, which was just, I love a good BLT. It's kind of hard to ruin a BLT, but sometimes the BLT is just better than others. And that was really good. And my 4-year-old now is very picky. So for him to find anything to eat that he'll just gobble down is a plus. And he ate all of his food too. So
Yeah, that's a win.
yes.
I'll give you that. Okay, so then you guys came back, did a little swimming at the Hippity Dippity Pool that I like to call it, and then went over to Epcot and got into the parks. So give us a couple highlights from the parks on this first day. Your parents had ECVs, correct?
We did. So we didn't actually go into the parks the first day. We just rode the Skyliner to the parks so that we could get a feel for the Skyliner. And because the kids saw the Skyliner, all they wanted to do was ride the Skyliner all day long.
I love that though,
Yes.
because I've said that from the day, because I was there the day it opened. I went down for the sky. That's how excited I was about the Skyliner. I went for the grand opening because I say it's like the ride to get to the rides. It's
100%.
It's just like the old Sky Buckets at the Magic Kingdom. You know, it's fun.
It was so much fun.
That's perfect. Yeah, totally.
Yep, it was so much fun. So the ECVs with the Skyliner were great. We just split up into 2 groups because one ECV can fit on a gondola at a time. So it would be one ECV and 2 people, and then another ECV and 2 people. And we just kind of took it. We took it down to one park and then took it down to the other park and then took it back to our hotel. Yeah.
Nice. Well, you said it was kind of a challenge, Joe, when you had 2 ECVs when you were trying to ride the buses, right? Because capacity issues.
There's only so much room. I think buses can only hold 2 ECVs. So the problem we were having is a lot of buses would pull up and already had one on there. So for us to ride together, we would have to wait for another bus. But the problem with that is if you're at the end of a stop, it's hard to be the only 2 ECVs on the bus. And that ended up happening on our Animal Kingdom day, where we ended up taking 2 separate buses to get to Animal Kingdom.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's really not a great solution for that, but
right. There's nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
You see you there. I mean, we just when we're there with the gardeners, a lot of times we'll take like a Uber, you know, sometimes we'll be like, race you. Like, Scott and I will hit the button at the same time and see whose Uber gets there first. And we'll just like, who's riding with who? Let's who gets back to the hotel first. I mean, we've done that many times because we can't all fit in the same car.
Right.
Okay. So the next day, you guys, it looks like Studios Day, right?
That was Hollywood Studios Day. Yeah.
So give some highlights there.
So we only had a couple of must-dos there, and that was Mickey and Minnie's, Slinky Dog, and the stunt show, the Indiana Jones stunt show. We did all of those and anything else we could basically think of. We were debating on whether we wanted to go into Galaxy's Edge first or over to Toy Story first, so that we could do Rise, because I've never been on Rise.
See, that surprises me. I was wondering if you'd even go into Galaxy's Edge because it is a clone of Disneyland.
Exactly. And so we didn't really plan on it, but I wanted to ride Rise. My dad's never done it. We were only 2 in our group. Well, William hadn't been tall enough until this trip. And so we were going to go over there, but it was down first thing in the morning. So the unfortunate part of that was everybody seemed to go over to Slinky Dog at the same time. That was probably our longest wait of the day, was first thing in the morning for Slinky Dog. But it wasn't that bad once we were in line. It was maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes. So it really wasn't that bad. But we knocked out all of Toy Story Land first thing. We went from Slinky Dog to Toy Story Mania to Alien Swirling Saucers, which is basically Maters, just a different theme. And my kids love Maters. So that was a nice nice thing. And I didn't tell my parents what we were going on or what the ride was like. I just said, this is what we're doing and you're going to do it. And they did it with sometimes screams, but
They're going to have trust
but
issues after this.
yeah, I think I laughed through the whole Slinky Dog ride because we were right behind my mom and the noises that she was making it was hilarious. I've never heard those noises come out of her and I was dying the whole ride. It was really funny. So
when Slinky says, hold on, she's
yeah,
like, uh-oh.
but they enjoyed it. So I'm glad I didn't give them the option. They just said, we're doing this. And they said, okay, they trusted me.
But those are the memories, though. That's why you go to Walt Disney World. That's why you go to Disneyland, right? I mean, you'll be
exactly
at Christmas. You'll be joking about that. That's
right.
the stuff that vacations are made of.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then we did have Genie Plus, which I know is now, gone by the wayside, but we did that so that we could make sure we got a Mickey and Minnie. So that was the must do for my mom. And then the stunt show, which was a must do for Steven, my oldest. But we didn't even need it for the stunt show because we happened to sneak in unknowingly through the wheelchair line. Apparently there's a separate line. And so we got ahead of, I felt bad, all these people who have been waiting for God knows how long to watch the show. And we were one of the first to get our seats because of the ECVs.
It all evens out in the universe. Yeah. That's why I look at it. Like, you probably waited longer for a bus somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a yin and
we definitely did.
Exactly. It was your turn.
Yes, it was our turn for sure. We definitely paid for that. Yeah. But the stunt show, we watched, I think it's Behind the Attraction on Disney Plus, and that was one of the episodes, was the Indiana Jones stunt show. And Steven absolutely wanted to see that. He does theater with one of our high schools. He loves that type of stuff. And I have the best photos of his face watching the show. And then we got to meet the actors, the two main actors and the director after the show, which was great too, because he got to chat with the director a little bit.
That's awesome. Way back in the day, I got to get up on the stage as an extra. That was one of my favorite Disney moments. And I didn't know the whole shtick that I thought one of the guys that was sitting out in the audience was getting jacked up. Like, I thought he got punched. I was like, I know the guy that got punched now is one of the Run Disney race announcers, but I didn't know that was like a Disney guy at the time. I was like, he just got lit up. I was like, I'm keeping my dukes ready, man.
They do this at Disney?
Like, if he does me like that, it's going down. One of us is going to jail. One of us is going down and the other one's going to the joint, but something's happening right in front of 5,000 people. Because I was like, but yeah, it was John Pelkey. I had no idea at the time. It's such a great show. It's underrated. They always say it's got such a big footprint. They should take it out. They should put something else in there. And I get it. I mean, but it's every time I go, I love that show. But I don't go that often. It's like Tom Sawyer Island. I don't go very often, but when I do, I love it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So fun. So good day there. Did you think Genie Plus served its purpose for you that day?
For us, absolutely. Yeah. And we just kind of went, once we had the things done that we absolutely wanted to do, our must-dos, we just kind of went with what's next? What can we do next? And so we utilized it like crazy, which I'm glad we were able to, because I ended up getting sick towards the end of the day and we needed to leave the park so that I could get some rest so we could come back for Fantasmic, because I was not missing Fantasmic. That was my must-do for the park.
Oh my gosh, not just Fantasmic, but you got to cruise the next day. That cannot happen. Yeah. I mean, were you not freaking out? It's the worst.
A little bit, yeah.
Because I got ill. I started feeling ill the night before our very first podcast cruise. We had 100 and some people sailing with us on the Dream. It was my dream to do a podcast cruise, the very first one. We're all having this gigantic dinner at Whispering Canyon at Wilderness Lodge. I ate too much. I drank, because they bring you that big soda in the bucket. It was because I wanted a refill. They brought, not the regular size soda. It was in a 2-liter mason jar, and I was clowning. So I drank that whole thing too. Then we went back into the Magic Kingdom on a steamy July night, decided to ride the Tomorrowland Speedway, got sick. Yeah, and then I knew the cruise was coming the next day. I was like, oh my God, I'm sick. I'm not going to be able to get on the ship with like 100 other listeners. I'm like, this is great. This is so my life. But yeah, so I'd imagine, did you make it back for Fantasmic? Was everything okay?
We did. A little bit of rest, medicine, a little bit of rest, getting out of the heat. Although it wasn't that hot that day, we got lucky with our studios day. It was cloudy and not super hot, but we made it back barely because we had a little hiccup at picking up dinner. We mobile ordered dinner and they ran out of meat for the salads that my husband and I think my mom ordered. And they didn't say anything until we had already been waiting for a long time. And then it took them quite a while to finish up the order. And I thought we were going to miss the show.
The studio sometimes struggles with quick service food. It's always a challenge at the studios. It's wild. Like, I don't know. They need better quick service options at the studios.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to Backlot Express or ABC Commissary, but those are the only two that I trust. And there's
we did ABC
perfect.
Commissary during the day, and I had the buffalo chicken sandwich.
There you go. I hope it was okay.
It was amazing.
Oh.
I posted it in the Discord when I ate it.
Again, I'd pay $20 for one of those right now too, and I've already had dinner tonight. I mean, but bring it on. $20 right now is my brings one. Okay, perfect. So let's make sure we get it out because we got so much to talk about. So you got real quick, Fantasmic though. Stadium tour Fantasmic at Walt Disney World. Right there in New Orleans Square, Fantasmic at Disneyland. What's your preference?
So I'm biased because I have friends who perform in Fantasmic at Disneyland.
I hope they weren't on the pirate ship because they scared the crud out of me when I was out there. I almost lost 5 years.
I have had friends who have done pirates.
Okay,
yes.
Well, tell them they took 5 years off my life, my first trip, because I came out of my soul when that cannon went off.
Yeah.
And Scott loved it.
It's loud. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. I do love the stadium seating though, at Hollywood Studios. I think that's really interesting. And they can get off so many people in there, which is great. But the show was fantastic. I love that it's different than Disneyland, but I definitely like Disneyland better.
I think I do too, especially when the show's over. It's a lot easier to get out at Disneyland just to go do stuff.
Yes.
Like you're trapped in that theater when the
we
show's
lost our
over.
whole party. We all got split up when we left Fantasmic. One was outside the park, one was at the front. We were in the back. But we made it.
Yeah, the studios and Fantasmic over like, I'll every man for themselves. I'll see you in the morning. Just go back to the hotel. If not, I'll see you by Tuesday. See you at the airport. In your case, I'll see you on the ship. See you at Port Canaveral. Okay, so the next day, cruise day. God, I'm not kidding. If you've never been on a cruise, the morning you wake up for a cruise is the best day ever because you're going on a cruise. So tell us about this day. I mean, honestly, it is. It just makes me happy. I love cruise day.
So I will say it was a little rough for us getting on the road for the cruise because we mismanaged our meal plan. We had the Disney quick service plan and we mismanaged our meals a little bit. And so we grabbed food to eat on the way to the ship, but then we're able to pixie dust some families, which felt great, buying, breakfast for people. But we got to the ship on time and it was actually kind of nice getting there a little bit late because there were fewer people there. So we didn't have to wait in the lines to go through. We were able to go through security very quickly and get onto the ship. The best part that day is just getting announced, having your family announced as you walk onto the ship. And actually we saw someone from my son's school after we walked off onto the ship. About 20 minutes later, I saw a family that I recognized and I said, hey, that looks like somebody from school. And sure enough, is somebody on our PTA board and in 2 grades above my son. So
isn't that crazy? Like you're from California, you're getting to see him on a ship in Florida. One of my cruises, one of my students was on the ship. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get away from everything. And there's one of my students on the cruise with me. So every time, and of course, I go on these cruises, I do all the tequila tastings and stuff. And bam, I come out of Skyline and boom, it could be one of my 5th graders. I'm just like, this ain't good. This is terrible. What are you doing here? Like, you got to swear you never saw Mr. Rallman.
Yeah, right. I'm not Mr. Ramen right now.
Exactly. It's summer. It's like, this is horrible.
I
Anyway.
don't live at school. I do go on trips.
Exactly. I was like, this cannot be happening. I know. And I've
Oh,
heard so many
goodness.
people that's happened to. Like, they're just like, somebody from my home, they're from Nebraska or they're from like, Wyoming. And it's like, bam, my next door neighbor was on the ship. Like, what are the chances? Like, go on another cruise. Because what were your initial thoughts? Because you said you'd sail Royal Caribbean. And you were on the Wish. So what did you think, like, upon arrival? You said you like getting announced. First thoughts as a Disney fan, though, getting on the ship.
It just felt like Disney. I mean, Cinderella and Prince Charming were up on the balcony waving to people and seeing I don't know. I feel like anytime you're at Disney, anything, it feels like Disney. It's grand. It's beautiful. It's magical. It's clean. And the slide to get down to the kids club is probably one of my most favorite things. And the adults can go down the slide that first day. And I did, because why not?
You did. See, I didn't. That's my biggest regret. I should have done that on the podcast cruise. I never got to it. Like, 'cause you only do it at certain times. They don't want you
Right.
sliding in anytime. That wouldn't be cool. But they should have like an adult slide that just like slides you into Skyline or like slides you into the adult areas.
Yeah.
We should slide into all the places. You know what I'm saying? Like slide into Animator's Pad. It's time for dinner.
Just slide on down.
Exactly.
That was the highlight that day, was sliding into the kids club.
100%. Slide should be, they're underutilized. That'd be so fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's like, it's kind of the reverse, like bad egg shoot from like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, your kid doesn't want to go to the club. Too bad. Just throw them in. And there they go. No, I mean, I would do that, but not most parents. What do your kids have to say, though? Kind of give, just from their perspective throughout the cruise, did they use the kids' clubs? What were their thoughts on dining, entertainment? What did they think?
So kids clubs, they couldn't get enough of. We would drop them off, before dinner. We would go have an adult drink. We would take them back after dinner in between whatever we were doing that evening. And then sometimes they would go back after a show. My son, my 7-year-old, actually cried on the last day because he didn't want to leave the kids club. So he was not happy about that part. But they loved the dining. Marvel was our favorite. All of our whole group, Marvel was our favorite restaurant. And it was our last restaurant. So I'm really glad that was our last one. Arendelle, and I heard you guys say this on the podcast.
Intense.
It's a lot.
It's intense. you always gotta have a little cardio fitness for that meal.
Yeah. And then we were also in the walkway for the serving teams. And so there were constantly people walking behind. It was fine. And they were great. Our serving team was amazing. But Arendelle is definitely, all the senses are just hyper aware. It's a lot going on all the time.
I'm glad you said that, because it is. I mean, it's fun. I couldn't do it more than once, though. There was people dancing and guitaring, and the snowman was coming and talking. Olaf's talking to me, and I was like, "Holy cow! When am I going to eat?"
And I don't know if they do this on all of them, but at the end, all the wait staff, they were walking around with pots and pans and banging them, and they're swinging the napkins, and we were like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, I turned to Scott, because you sitting across from me. We're both sitting next to our wives, but we're sitting across from each other. I was like, Scott, dude, I'm sweating. I was like, I am sweating. Okay, I should be sweating at dinner, but that's how hard I'm working just to be a part of the party. I guess we're working here. It was fun though. Right. We had so many great pictures that night. It was a good time. Yeah. Because I like Frozen. I mean, it's a special movie for us, so we had a good time with that. So stateroom wise, how did that work out? Did you had two staterooms, I guess?
We had two staterooms. So we had the veranda, my family of four, and then my parents were they were down the hall, but they were in an inside stateroom. I made the mistake of having a balcony for our first cruise. Now I don't
forever
anything other than a balcony.
I did that on our honeymoon in 2006 for my wife, and guess what?
Yep.
Forever.
Every time. Yeah. So, but it was nice. It was nice to have that, when the kids were still asleep in the morning, we had our coffee out there. It was nice to sit out there and have a glass of wine in the evening. But yeah, so but I love the split bathroom. It's probably one of my favorite things about the room, that, I could be getting ready and somebody could use the restroom, or, whatever. Having that split area was nice, especially with four of us and having two little kids to get ready for dinner. It gave us a lot more space to do that.
Or when you have a wife and two daughters who are 16 and 27, they get the two bathrooms, and I get to go up to the Census Spa and take a shower real quick.
Take a shower. It's opposite in my family. I'm the only woman, so
see, it's like, I mean, there's not even, and we had the biggest not concierge stateroom you could book. We had we had the larger family deluxe ocean view, whatever thing, but yeah, still, we only had one bathroom, even though it was split. Didn't matter because couldn't get in there. Okay, so the stateroom worked out well. We kind of talked a little dining. Walk us through the ports at Nassau. Did you guys get off the ship, do anything at Nassau? What'd you think there?
No, we used that as our pool day. So it was really the only day for us to use the pools and do the slides. So I was looking at the port adventures before the cruise, and nothing stood out to me that would work well for our group of 6. And so we decided to save the money and use it on other things on the ship. And so we did the pools, we did the wreck slide. The 4 of us did the wreck slide, which is like the kids slide. That was a lot of fun. And then I got to ride the Aqua Mouse with Steven, and my husband also rode the Aqua Mouse with Steven. That goes a lot faster than I thought it was going. We got back and I was like, we're done already? We're already back.
Yeah, I mean, it's on a cruise ship.
I just didn't like looking at it. It looks really big, but then when you're on it, it's done really fast. But it was still fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's like a mini Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Runaway. Yes.
That's what I see it is. It's kind of like a teeny tiny mini version of that, but it's cool.
Yes.
I like it. Yeah.
But it was still fun.
I think you'll like, I don't know. Trying to think. I don't know if you'll like the Aqua Duck better. It doesn't have it's not as there's not as much technology in the Aqueduct, but the Aqueduct just you're in a clear tube the whole time, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a little bit longer, but I don't know if it is, because the Wish is actually a little bit bigger than the Dream, which you're going on shortly, but we'll see. I'll get your thoughts on that. That'll be interesting. Let's also talk about some of these. You guys did Hyperspace Lounge. You did some of the other lounges. What were your thoughts on the entertainment or lounges and stuff like that on the ship? Tiana's is a cool place on the ship.
So, yeah, we didn't make it to Tiana's. We did Hyperspace twice, and the only reason we did it twice was because my husband and I went, just the 2 of us, and then the next day we wanted to show the kids, and we wanted my parents to experience it, so we took them there as well. Hyperspace is really cool. I can see how the huge Star Wars fans would probably absolutely love it. We thought it was great. It was fun. But we actually liked the Rose better, the Beauty and the Beast themed bar. It was just a little more our speed, and we like that you can see out the windows at the, out the ship onto the water. But it was a lot of fun. And I wish we would have done Tiana's, because we walked by it half a dozen times at least a day. They always have great music playing, which was fun to walk down the hall to.
Yeah, Tiana's, I mean, also it has beignets, which I had to get a beignet too.
Right.
Got to ask for them at the bar, but they're worth it. Yeah, that one's kind of an interesting location, because most of the lounges are kind of tucked away on the Wish. The Hyperspace Lounge, the other one you're mentioning, and but Tiana's is kind of in that. It's in between there. It's got like
it's in the middle.
Yeah. It's a weird location, but they use it also for kind of a multi-purpose venue. Like they'll do Name That Tune in there. They'll do trivia in there. The Wish is such a. We talked about this before we went on the air. It's such an outlier from the other 4 ships in the fleet that are sailing right now, how they use their spaces. And they also have kind of a big multi-purpose room that they use for like an Incredibles obstacle course. And they have basketball hoops that come down, and they have volleyball court, they do volleyball, pickleball. And I think that's a great use. They just really have kind of reimagined spaces on this ship that's very different than the other 4 ships. And I think sometimes you like it or you think it's different. The one thing about the Wish, though, speaking of near Tiana's, and this is just my personal view because I don't buy any of these things. It feels like they have a lot of like really high end, like those jewelry stores and stuff. I just feel
Yes.
maybe it's because I don't buy any of that stuff. I don't even shop that stuff, but it feels like it's a lot of wasted space right there on that part of the ship.
Yeah, we actually walked into the shop that's right next to Hyperspace Lounge near Tiana's just to kind of look. And it's a big store with not a lot of stuff in it. There's a lot there, but not, the space isn't filled very well. So I almost felt like the space either needed to be smaller or they need to have more merch.
But I think maybe that's the layout for that kind of merchandise. I mean, like an Apple store is kind of the same way, right? It's a big, like bright white open space and everything's teeny tiny. I mean, maybe there's probably some kind of psychology to that makes, the buying experience, you're more likely to purchase this big ticket item. You're not getting me because I'm not going in, but I'm not your target audience. Let me ask you about Castaway Cay. Great place to go. You guys ran the 5K, so you guys getting ready to get Pop Century for the, man, talk about humidity, and you were there in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Woo, congratulations on that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah, that was the first thing we did when we got off the ship right when we could. We were one of the first, in the first wave of people off the ship, and I'm glad we were, because the later in the day it got, the warmer it got, and we had cloud coverage pretty much the whole day at Castaway, which was fantastic because it kept the temperature a little bit cooler for us. But yeah, we did the fight. We got my parents and the kids settled with some chairs and umbrellas, and we set off on a very hot and humid 3.1 miles. But it was a big check off my bucket list. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. So I'm glad that we got it done, especially because I bought my sweatshirt before we ran it. Right when we got there, which normally I wouldn't do, but so we got to do it. I just bought the sweatshirt.
You forced your hand. The $32 sweatshirt said, I am going to go 3 miles in the jungle. No matter how hot and humid. I love that. That's a brave call there. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So you guys also, the good news is right after that, you can just run right into the ocean, which is what I do every single time. So you spent the day on the island, had a good lunch, I'm guessing, did some time in the water. Did you guys rent any, it looks like you rented a float ring and.
Yeah, we got a float ring, just kind of float around in the water. And then my youngest actually loved the slides at Scuttle's Cove, those two big slides. He wanted to go on them over and over and over again, but he didn't want to wait in line, so we only did it twice.
You mean those really big ones out there at Pelican Point? Like the
Pelican Point,
the ones you got to like swim out to?
Yes.
Those things are insanely fast.
Yeah, he had his little life jacket on, and he was feeling like I don't know if he was feeling like Captain America. I guess he just went right on.
For his age, those things are no joke. They spit people out like, poof. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Because when you said Scuttle's Cove, I'm like, I'm trying to think where those two slides are. I'm like, surely she's not mentioned in Pelican Point, because those things are
Pelican Point. Yep, those two big ones.
Especially the one that's covered all the way. That thing spits you out like nobody. Whew. I mean, that thing, you're moving on that sucker. So he's brave.
He is.
That's awesome. So any other thoughts for Castaway? Anything you've stuck out there besides that?
The birds are very intense there. You definitely can't leave your food unattended. We watched a whole table get swarmed. People set their food down and walked over to get, I think, drinks, and their food just got attacked by a whole swarm of birds, and then they wouldn't go away because they had just gotten some good food. I love their signs that say don't feed the wildlife, but it's really that it's not that people feed the wildlife on purpose. They just don't think about setting their plates down. But the soft serve ice cream is probably my favorite part.
Yes, and if you're smart, you make an ice cream sandwich cookie. You take a cookie because they have those chocolate chip cookies, little soft serve, one right on top. Boom.
Okay, so that's going back here for the next time.
I mean, you're going next month or in October.
Yeah.
Remember me. I'm not being an influencer or anything, but you better make one. I'm just telling you.
But I will.
Yes. Okay, so unfortunately, you do have to get off the ship at some point, but at least you're going back to Coronado. So tell us about debarkation and heading back to Walt Disney World.
So we had breakfast at Marvel, and I was expecting a very small menu. They actually had quite a few breakfast options on your debarkation day if you're sitting down for breakfast. So we had breakfast, said goodbye to our serving team. And our waiter did magic with our boys pretty much every meal, which was fun for them. They got to see some magic tricks. But getting off the ship was super smooth. The line wrapped all the way around, but we moved pretty quickly to get off the ship. Got in our car and headed to Coronado, and our room was ready. I actually got the text that our room was ready as we were pulling up to the tower at Coronado. So we were able to get into our room quickly. My parents' room took a little bit longer most of the day to be ready, but we at least had our room that we all could change, and we went straight to the dig site. That was the first thing we did, and spent several hours in the pool and had lunch and played some Uno. And then again, my kids went down the slide over and over and over again.
That's awesome. Hey, that's good news that your room was ready that early, because that's quite unusual these days. That's like winning the jackpot. You're like, what? Nice.
Yeah.
Because ours was actually ready pretty early at Old Key West, and everybody told me like the 1-bedroom villas are never, before 3:00, and it came open like noon. I was like, oh yeah,
yes.
I'm blessed. We're good. So okay, let's talk about because we got about 10 minutes left. We'll make sure we get all this in. But you guys went to Animal Kingdom. Mentioned you had to take 2 buses this day, but that's not the end of the world. We did. But how was Animal Kingdom? Because again, summer, it could be hot, and it looks like you guys took your umbrellas and your fans, and you guys gave you a little trouble going through security, but you're prepared.
After they told us to take all of that out, and I forgot because it was on the back of my dad's ECV.
It happens. So they did. It's Animal Kingdom, and didn't who told you be prepared? The Lion King, there you go.
Yeah. So we did the safari first. So we debated. I told my husband, go wherever you feel like. Either go to Pandora and get in line for Flight of Passage, or go to the safari. And they decided to do the safari first. So we were on one of the first safari trucks to go out, which was great because all the animals were up. We had rhinos walk right by our truck, which was really cool to see. And then we just kind of meandered around the Gorilla Falls trail thing that's right outside of the safari when you exit. And we walked through there. We did Festival of the Lion King. That was a must do on our list. We absolutely had to do Festival of the Lion King. That was such a great show.
I love that show.
It's beautifully done. We were able to get a lightning lane for Cali River Journey, right? Cali River Rapids. Mm-hmm. That's what it's called. I was a little disappointed in that, actually. We didn't get wet. We barely got wet.
Did somebody in your raft, though? Somebody had to have gotten... No,
nobody in our raft
usually
really
there's
got
one
wet.
Sucker that gets drowned and everybody else stays bone dry.
And this was our hottest day, I think, of our whole trip. We had no clouds. It was hot. And then they have the elephants at the end that people can squirt you with water.
Yeah.
That's where we got wet.
Of course.
Thank goodness for people on the bridge.
Some little punk 8-year-olds like right there in your nose.
And I'm yelling, thank you, because we were all hot and we wanted to. That was the whole reason we did that ride. That was the whole reason, was to get wet. And we didn't until the end. But it was fine. We had a lightning lane. We waited like 5 minutes for the ride. It's not like we wasted an hour and a half. I felt bad for people waiting an hour and a half for that ride, though, for sure. What else did we do? Oh, we bought individual lightning lane to take Steven on Flight of Passage. William's not tall enough, so he went and got ice cream with my parents. That is such a cool experience. It just the whole thing. We were like, it's almost like soaring over the world, but better. Like it's that whole, but better.
So are you jazzed to bring Pandora out to the West Coast?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Very excited. Yeah.
That'll be fun. I mean, and they say it's like going to be based on different Avatar movies, so it won't be right. It'll be the same environments, I'm guessing, but different storylines as far as what the attractions are going to be.
Which is good, because you don't want the same thing at both parks, because then what's the point in going to the other?
Right. I mean, as much as like Cars Land, I've said it many times, my favorite land of any land at any Disney park that I've been to. Love it.
Right.
But I don't want the Magic Kingdom to be the same thing that we have in DCA, because I don't need two.
Right.
I love it, but I can just go to DCA when I want to see that. I hope that what they bring to the Magic Kingdom, while it's going to have cars, is something totally different. You know,
Right,
it sounds like it is
exactly.
going to be. It sounds like it's going to be more off-road, or I don't know what that means, but I'm excited.
Right.
Who knows? big stomper trucks. I don't know. Bigfoot. Who knows?
Yeah.
So you're trying to make kind of the most of this because your time's winding down, and that's that time where like every hour becomes more precious. Like, and you got that internal clock, like tick tick tick. We got to go home soon. So
Right.
how are you kind of making the most of this time?
We just kind of stayed in the moment. I didn't take as many pictures as I feel like you normally would, but we again with Genie Plus, we just kind of went, what do we want to do next, and what is available. Seeing shows is a big thing. We love shows. Eating all the things that we could eat. Yak and Yeti was delicious. And we got a great spot under a fan with shades. That was amazing. But yeah, just being in the moment and letting the kids stop to look at things or stop to get their Explorer badges and their book, and not trying to rush from one thing to the next, and just staying in the moment.
And that's what it's about. I mean, because you're right. I mean, you got to enjoy it because that's what you look forward to for 6 months, 9 months, a year,
Right.
and just take it all in and be like, hey, we're here. Like, don't wish it away. Don't think about what's next. Don't worry about being at home because you're not there yet. Like, we're still here, and to take it in. So you guys, looks like you kind of went over to kind of just rode the monorail around, had a little dinner over at the Contemporary Cafe.
Yep.
Nice. And kind of went back to Coronado. Good way to wrap the day.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to see the castle. It was from afar, but we got to see the castle at sunset. So I don't think it gets a whole lot better than that.
That is awesome. Yeah. And by the way, everybody said I would be so sad when I saw the Disneyland castle. I'm cool with it. It's small, but like it's cute. And I love that you can go inside it, by the way. That's the coolest thing ever, to walk through and see the little story. I love it. It's hotter than anything in there, but
it is. It's you don't want to do that during the summer like you did, but yes.
It's smoking hot in there, but it's so cute. All right, so your last day. Now, I'm glad that your kids aren't perfect, because your kids are brave, your kids are awesome, it sounds like. But at least you did have a meltdown, and you were honest about it. Because, dude, my kids melt down 17 times a day on a vacation. It's like, okay, your kid's a human. Perfect. No, I'm just saying. No, but so you're wrapping up. It's time to go home. I mean, you guys, what an epic trip. But I mean, how did you guys kind of bring it all in here to kind of wrap it up?
Yeah, so at Coronado, they've got a giant chess set and a giant checker set. And my son, Steven, my 7-year-old, loves chess. And so the whole time, from the moment we arrived until the moment he got to play it, he was asking when he would get to play chess.
Smart.
And so we did that. Before we did that, we went to the arcade because they also wanted to play the arcade games. So we did some arcade time. But when we went over to chess, William was exhausted and had a bit of a meltdown. So I had to walk him, as he was screaming, through the lobby to get to the car.
It happens.
Just drop him in.
Been there.
Doing that. I promise he's mine. I'm not taking it.
Yes. Yeah. Whatever he says, he's lying.
So they played chess, and then we actually went back over to Pop because I didn't get a pin. I wanted to get a pin trading pin from Pop. So we went back over there to get that, and then we had a couple snack credits left, so we got a couple of packaged snacks. And then we started to head towards the airport, but we had a little bit of a delay, and so we decided to go to the movies instead. After we got our pub subs, we had pub subs first, and then we went to the movies.
So you had a delay, got to see Inside Out 2, little movie delay there. Went and saw that, and then got to eventually the next day get on the airplane and head home. But
about 14-hour delay. We finally got home.
It happens. The plane was still stuck in Dallas. It was stuck in the Big
At least it was at the end of the trip, and it wasn't us trying to get to our trip.
Especially when there's a cruise involved. Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's much better the cruise already happened. It's at that point, who cares? The house isn't moving. Right, especially in my line of work. As long as I always bring my laptop with me, I can work from anywhere. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
We'll figure everything else out. We're good. Man, what a trip though. So as we kind of wrap up, and I just, we went a little long, but who cares? It's been such fun. And I appreciate you taking the time, because I know we did go long, but like looking back on this trip, and I know you have another cruise coming up here soon. You're going to sail the Dream for a little Halloween on the high seas. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say with the Dream compared to the Wish, because two different ships, styles,
Yeah.
I think. But for this trip, what do you have like one more like memory or story or tip you want to throw out there for anybody that's doing a trip like this? Because you know you had your parents, you had ECVs, you had your kids, first crew, all this. Yeah, a lot of dynamics here.
Right. And I've heard this said before, but it's so true. You just have to know your traveling party. We probably could have squeezed at least one more park in and done Magic Kingdom or Epcot. But I knew if we did that, that it would more than likely put a big damper on the rest of the trip because people would be tired and cranky and sore and all those other things that come with just adding another park day. So for us, even though it was our first time going to Florida, I wanted to enjoy what we did do rather than try to get it all in and then be miserable. So that's my tip. And my takeaway is the Skyliner needs to be at every single resort because it's the best way to get from one part to the other.
Yes, it does. It's the ride to get to the rides. Your kids nailed it, and it's efficient, and it is just. But I mean, tell me, like when you go to the studios, you went to the studios, like you sat down, and before you turn your neck, we're arriving at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Right. It's amazing.
Hello.
And William keeps asking when we can go back to the hotel and ride the Skyliner. That's what he keeps asking me.
Can we get a lightning lane for the Skyliner? Right. Yes, we can. I will pay extra. I will buy one of those for you, kid.
Right.
I love it. No, that's exactly right. And my gosh, this hour has been so fun just to talk Disney because I got to relive your cruise and hear about Coronado, Pop Century, the parks, and all this great dining. Amanda, I appreciate you taking the time, and I really hope we can do this again sometime because it sounds like your family had a great time. Congratulations to your husband on his MBA, and
thank you.
Just again, thanks, and hope your family has a great Labor Day weekend out there in Southern California.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I hope you have a good weekend as well.
As long as my Tigers win, all will be good. All right.
I know I got to check the Yankee game when we get off of here.
All right. Don't worry about the Cardinals. They're terrible this year. I can't even stand it. All right. So don't forget, today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure, whether it's out to Southern California to Disneyland, going out of Walt Disney World, sailing with the Disney Cruise Line, or seeing the world with Adventures by Disney. We are standing by right now to help you plan that trip for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details right now over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so very much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make this show possible. Couldn't do it without you. You can support us just $5 a month, and you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come on over this week. We'd love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give me a follow on the social media at beourguestmike. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And we have a live show this Sunday night. Scott will be joining us. He was gone this past Sunday because he was down in Nashville. Weird place for Scott to be because he does not like country music, but whatever. But we're going to be back together this coming Sunday. So if you want to give us a call, talk Disney with us, you get to be right there on the show. Join us 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Just join us there, and we'll be taking your calls. And finally, join us in the clubhouse. That's where we have discussions about the show and about life in general 24/7. We have over 1,100 folks from the podcast in there all the time. Just come over to beourguestpodcast.com/clubhouse today. All right, we're going to get out of here and wish you a great Labor Day weekend, a great start to your week, and we'll be back again on Wednesday with more of your listener questions. You have a question? Drop it to the inbox, Mike@beourguestpodcast.com. But until then, for Amanda out in California, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great Monday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.